Veritas. SCP Files. Episode 12. Sideshow. Come on. Okay. Very glad indeed to see that this still records. Niall seems to have rearranged my desk for me, but it doesn't appear that he broke or misplaced anything. Probably his playful attempt to tell me I need to be more organized. Well, message received. No need to mess with my things. I also listened to the recording that he left me. Several times, in fact. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to take from it, if anything. I'm glad that he trusts me with his story. It sure explains why he seems to know so much about all the SCPs, at least. And I'm not holding it against him, of course. With a family like that, it's surprising he's as functional as he is. I wonder where he's gone off to now. I hope he's okay. If that symbol he was talking about was the same one that I found in my last incident report, then I fear for his well-being. Regardless, there's not much I can do about it now. I've been gone for 2 weeks. I'm sure Miranda is more than a little irritated with how far I've fallen behind on my reports as a result. But I really needed that time. I've been reflecting on myself and my experiences since waking. And I realized that I've been keeping myself busy with work since my memories were lost. I haven't wanted to actually face losing so much of who I am. What were my hobbies before? Was I creative? Did I have friends? I'm coming to terms with the fact that I may never know for sure. But I feel like now I've at least had time to actually mourn a bit. Even though that's a little silly. How do you properly mourn something that you don't know you lost? It's complicated. But the good news is that I'm feeling a little better overall, less overwhelmed and scared. It feels nice to be able to get back to work. I'm actually looking forward to focusing on a report again. I don't know why they got to me so much last time. I'm going to try and be a little more professional about it moving forwards. Take time to manage stress better when I start to feel any way about them again. I wasn't sure where to start, but after listening to Niall's recording, I actually have an idea. He mentioned that some SCPs have an affinity for, as he puts it, the Wayans. And I do remember finding a report about some kind of toy box. At the time, I really didn't want to read about anything happening to a group of kids. And to be honest, I still don't. But it would be interesting if Niall appears in it. Maybe it would shed some more light on his past. What? Oh, I see. This actually appears to be several reports stapled together. Huh. Okay, then. Okay. I can get through them. It'll be fine. Remember, it's just stress. It's all in your head. Incident 190. A selection of reports related to SCP-190, colloquially known as a prize toy box. All reports occurred during planned testing. Potential risks and losses considered acceptable. Object class, safe. Risk assessment level, low. Report 190-1, reported by Justin Barnes, Junior Researcher. Report made September 12, 2000. I don't understand. What happened to me is logged already in the research notes. Why do you also need a report? It's fine. I'm fine with the process, and I'm happy to follow procedure. It just hurts to lean over the desk like this. So we got this box in, right? It looks like a standard child's toy box. Carved wood with the banded iron pieces, exactly like any other. The sides are painted with all kinds of circus animal. Elephants, horses, lions, the like. They're alive in some kind of way, and they all move around the wood very, very slowly, barely 5 millimeters a day. We actually thought it was all just in our minds at first, until we sped up the security cam footage. The animals play and interact with each other over time, rather innocently. And they're all supervised by a large ringmaster who stands in the central panel. So far so tame, right? We really thought the moving pictures were it. Nothing else seemed to happen. We had some D-classes open the box, and all that was inside were 17 marbles of various mismatching types, 2 sticks of green sidewalk chalk, and 1 deck of playing cards. The D-classes reported feeling a bit uncomfortable, and noted that they couldn't actually remove the items from the chest, as there was some sort of barrier preventing the object's escape. We rotated the testers out, but nothing changed. The objects moved around inside the box, but could not be taken out. So, again, very tame. I don't remember who suggested bringing in a child. Seems like the obvious next step, right? It's a child's toy box, after all. It wasn't me who suggested it, but joy of joys, I got to be the lucky researcher in charge of supervising the play. All I was supposed to do was take notes. The child was 8 years old. A little boy with unkempt red hair and a shock of freckles across his face. He was so happy to see that toy box, his face lighting up like it was his birthday. He went running over, threw open the lid, and from out of it, he pulled a rubber ball. It looked just like any of the balls you'd see at a supermarket. Red and white stripes with a big gold star. But it definitely had not been in there when I had opened it just 2 minutes prior. I scribbled down the inconsistency in my notebook and continued to watch. The child hugged the ball tightly to his chest and skipped to the center of the room, this huge smile plastered across his face. For a moment, he was actually kind of adorable, so happy with such a little thing. He turned to the wall and began to bounce it, playing a game of catch with his shadow. The ball made an odd sound as it struck the wall. Not the light whomp whomp you would expect, but a solid thunk. And I could see small dents and cracks starting to form. But that was hardly as interesting as the child himself. The way he laughed, the peals were such pure joy, as though he'd never gotten to play with any toy as fun or exciting as the ball he was bouncing. I continued to scribble notes, but they became less and less detailed as I watched the scene unfold before me. As he threw and caught and threw again, that laughter was so contagious that I felt my own face breaking into a smile. I knew I was supposed to keep writing everything down, but I suddenly wanted nothing more than to just bask in that pure, simple joy. I stopped everything and just watched. 37. It was 37 bounces in total. I counted and watched them all, each coinciding with one of those beautiful, overjoyed rings of laughter. And then I made the mistake of joining in and laughing as well, my own voice ringing out into the room. As if on cue, the child whipped around to look at me, and I swear to you that smile suddenly became malicious, as though this was a game for him and him alone, and I was not supposed to share in it, even vicariously. "Join in," he cried out. "Catch!" And he threw the ball at me. I couldn't catch it. I was still holding the notebook. I'm not sure catching it would have been very good for my hands anyway, though. The ball slammed into my chest with the force of a hammer swing, and I heard the crack of my ribs moments before I felt it. The deep pain shuddering through my body. The force of the throw sent me flying backwards, slamming into the wall and sending spider webs of cracks out from where I had impacted. It knocked the wind fully out of me, and I slumped to the floor in a crumpled mess, the ball rolling slowly, heavily away. As I lay there, gasping for air, my chest a blaze of pain, I swear I heard that awful little boy cry out. Not in shock or horror, but in disappointment. "You didn't throw it back," he sighed, and he turned to the wall to continue his game. Report 190-2. Reported by D692, also known as Daniel Williams. Report made September 14th, 2000. I can't promise this will be a long one. I'm jonesing over here. They promised me more meds if I write, but God, my hand is shaking already. I hope they keep that promise. Look, if other people want kids, that's fine, okay? But it was never my choice, and I never really knew how to play with them. So when they told me to go stand in the room while the kid played with SCP-190 and make sure she was okay, I didn't really know what to do. I knew I didn't want anything bad to happen to her, but I also don't know how to play with her. I mean, she was 4. I just sort of stood to the side and watched. If anything bad happened, I would have helped, of course, but I wasn't exactly going to step in of my own accord. Out of the toy box, she took a stuffed felt elephant. It looked like one some other toy was supposed to ride, as it had a red and gold saddle. The saddle was embroidered with the initials HF on either side. If you want me to explain that, I can't. Maybe they were the kid's initials? I never did catch her name. She was cute, I guess? I don't know. Like I said, I don't interact with kids much. She was really thrilled with the elephant, though, practically jumping for joy as she first examined it. She wasted no time in playing with it either, dropping onto her knees and started to walk it around the edges of the room. Every now and then she'd let out an elephant noise, a loud trumpet that would devolve into a toll of laughter. It was sweet, that laughter. Real, pure joy. My life, it hasn't exactly been a happy one, though I'll spare you the details of why exactly. But something about that laughter rang this bell deep inside me. I felt like I was being transported back to my own childhood, running through the forest behind my home and chasing frogs down by the brook. When the girl had walked her elephant around to my side of the room, I considered moving, giving her space. But then she looked up at me, with those black curls and big dark eyes, and said so sweetly, "Look, I'm part of the circus." She was interacting with me, so I thought it was fine. I thought she was coming over to show me the toy more closely, or because she hoped I'd play with her. Instead, she walked the felt elephant over my foot. I've never known such agony. That thing had all the weight of an actual elephant. I felt my foot flatten, the bones shattering into dust as they were squished into pulp. Have you ever had a part of your body crushed? Probably not, I'm guessing. It's like nothing I can describe. There's no cut or opening made. All of your blood and meat and bones have nowhere to go, so they flatten and spread, making their own openings as they tear through your skin as they search desperately for somewhere to be. It's impossible. She shouldn't have been able to hold the toy. She shouldn't have been able to lift it. It's impossible. But she did. I collapsed in total silence, my body so shocked I couldn't even scream. As she continued to walk that impossible elephant away from me, she scolded me for daring to get in her way. Report 190-3. Reported by D427, also known as Everly Smith. Report made September 14th, 2000. I knew it was a bad idea to get involved with the game. There's a reason I kept my distance, you know. That, and because I typically try to avoid snot-nosed little monsters, not play with them. You and your stupid orders. I was quite content ignoring that awful little boy's begging. Who wants to play a lame-ass board game with a bratty, sniffly 6-year-old anyway? He'd pulled it out of that chest. It was some awful, cheap knockoff version of Candyland, featuring ugly, scruffy animals and circus-themed nonsense instead of candy. "See the big top!" the game exclaimed. And that awful child kept nagging me using that same language. "Come see the big top, ma'am. Come see the big top. They've got lions and clowns, and it'll be so fun. Come on, lady." Ugh. I was quite content ignoring that whine, and it was you all who made me play with him. Threatening to put me on Keter duty was a low blow. Screw you all. So I thought, fine, what's one board game? Ugh. I should have really known better with how this place works. I won the game. It was satisfying, too. I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who are all, "Oh, let the child win. It's good for his self-esteem." No. The world out there doesn't just let you win. And he was a brat, okay? He didn't deserve it. Little monster couldn't even take a loss. He made this huge huff about it, throwing a full-blown tantrum. He even picked up the cards and threw them at me, all because he didn't get to see the big top first. Do you know what those cards did? What that boy did to me? Those cards were razor sharp. They sliced through my skin like water. He threw them at my face. I could feel them bite into me, worse than any paper cut I've ever gotten, slicing down to the bone. I tried to shield myself with my hands, but that didn't go any better. The cards cutting long, red lacerations into my forearms and palms. I wish I had picked them up and thrown them back at him, let him know what it's like. But the pain was so sudden and sharp, it overwhelmed me. And all I could do was rock back, hugging my wounded arms to my chest, and trying to scrunch my face to staunch the bleeding. You'll never guess what he did. He offered me Band-Aids. He hugged me. Here I am, spurting blood in all directions, gasping against the shooting pain, and this awful little kid, the one who caused all this, hugs me. He says he's sorry that I'm hurting, and asked if I needed Batman Band-Aids to make the boo-boos better. Ugh. When these cuts heal, you better not make me work with any children again. Put me with a Keter for all I care. I am not playing a lethal board game with an ugly crybaby ever again. I've had it with them. I've had it with this place. I've had it with this report. I'm going to go rebandage my hands. Well, that was actually, better than I'd hoped. I mean, not better, but it didn't involve any injuries to the children, so that's something. And nobody died, so that's something too. It's probably not a good sign that everyone living with horrible injuries is actually a good outcome. I can't tell if either of the two boys mentioned were Niall. The third boy was never described, but 6 years old in 2000? That'd make Niall 30, which would make sense. The first boy was 8, which would put Niall at a believable 32, and the red hair matches as well. But ultimately, there's just not enough information here to know for sure. Interestingly, the database states that there is a long-term effect of the toy box. Children who have interacted with it seem to gravitate towards more performance-oriented careers. Niall does love his theatrics. I don't think I'll ask him about it, though, just in case there are bad memories associated. It's probably a good thing that I know more about the sort of experiments the Foundation uses children for. Harmless enough, I suppose. Well, for the kids, at least. I suppose I could look up what happened to the adults involved, but is there even really a point? 2000 was a long time ago. I think perhaps I'll just let this one go and end on the happy note of everyone is still alive.
Vault Veritas SCP Files is a podcast inspired by the SCP Foundation. Sideshow is based on SCP-190 by Raxus from the SCP Wiki located at scpwiki.com/SCP-190. It is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution Share-alike 3.0 unported license. This episode was performed by Justin Gellner. It was written and edited by Leola Angel. We welcome comments. Please email us at vaultveritas@gmail.com. Join our Discord channel using the link in the episode description. Or if you'd like, visit our Patreon, listed as Vault Veritas SCP Files. Thanks for listening.